Hey guys, thanks for joining us. We are here at the Chicago Journalism Town Hall. We're in for a great show coming up. And as you know, we're going to be, actually, no, please. We got our friends at Can TV who are covering this, so I'm not going to stop them from doing their job. Say hi to our Maybach guys, to our Life, Love, and the Grind guys. So we will still be having our show at 3 o'clock. Yeah, we have some celebrity A-listers who are showing up who are going to be talking about journalism and the changing landscape. It's going to be a dynamic conversation when we get it going. Chicago Journalism Town Hall. I'm not going to obstruct the view. Oh, absolutely. Or the traffic flow, because there's a lot of people still trying to find their seat for this event that starts at 1. We're here to bring it to you guys live. We'll have snippets of it on our radio show, 3 o'clock, Life, Love, and the Grind, WCPT, 8:20 a.m. Hope to join you guys then, and until then, we should have a good panel. So look forward to bringing an informative discussion and dialogue, maybe a debate, depending on how gloves off it gets. So join you guys then. Let's keep it live so we see what's happening. Guys, if you're just joining us, we're here at the Chicago Journalism Town Hall. If you're joining us on Life, Love, and the Grind, it's because we strive to bring you the most informative discussions we can. And if you're joining us on RazaVP, it's because we believe in the training of our next generation of union leaders. We've got quite a panel coming up. And as I look around, we also have other union leaders. I see the News Guild is represented here. We have a lot of unions representing the workers and the members. I'm going to step out of the way here because this is a traffic flow as well. But I want to make sure you know what you're joining us on, and that is the Chicago Journalism Town Hall, which should be starting any moment now. Look forward to bringing it to you live. And I'm going to stop obstructing traffic flow so all these lovely people can pass. Because we're all eager to get to our seats to see what this panel has to say. Talk to you guys soon. Whoa. Also, a quick reminder, after this first panel, join us on WCPT 8:20 a.m. with Sean Allen and Raza Siddiqui. We'll be going live with our regularly scheduled radio show. But first and foremost, bringing you this important dialogue in the field of journalism.
Check 1 2 test. Check 1 2.
So guys, I'm just joining from talking to some of the organizers, and this should be starting very shortly. Again, do not want to obstruct traffic flow, but this is going to be a good one.
Get some up and stick to the side of it.
It was just brought to my attention that it's 1:08 already. We got to get started real soon. So, if I didn't get to see it, please try to do so. A couple of quick housekeeping notes. Coffee will not be served in the lobby after this first session, which is a 90-minute session. And then, because of so much conversation that we all want to have, we're extending the coffee break out to a half an hour so you can meet people and have discussions and conversations and so forth. But just getting the rest of things done here, we'll get started in a couple of minutes. Thank you. A hush falls over the room. Thank you for coming, everybody. Looks like we probably did the right thing over boogie a little bit because we knew we had competition from the weather today. And I think I'm one of the many people who would probably rather be outside today anyway. But hey, we're here and we've got lots to talk about, and I'm sure more people will be showing up slowly as we do it. We are glad that you're here because we're here at a very important time when obviously many things are on our mind, but money seems to be every problem that we are talking about seems to come back to money. Here is our co-host, Heather Sharon. My name is Ken Davis. Heather and I will be tried to do the best we can to hold the conversation to at least a reasonable level of whatever it is.
No fisticuffs.
Yeah, no fisticuffs, right. Heather, so we talked a little earlier about how all of this is really down to money, right?
I think we would probably all agree that journalism in general and Chicago journalism in specific is at an inflection point, much like it was 11 years ago when the first town hall took place. And certainly I'm not going to recap 11 years of journalism history now. I know you're all really disappointed. But some of the highlights and the lowlights, I think certainly the Sun-Times survived a near-death experience. And now the Tribune's, yeah, we can clap for this in the head. Now the future of the Tribune is a little bit in flux. But 10 years ago, nobody could have predicted the rise of independent, digital, online organizations. And I'm certainly a representative of those people as the managing editor and city hall reporter of the Daily Line. So we have a lot to talk about, but first and foremost, I'm a reporter by training and by trade, and shout out every other Medill person who's here. And I would probably be remiss if I didn't turn to two of our panelists here and put them on the spot a little bit, since that's what Medill taught me how to do. Bruce Dole, publisher of the Chicago Tribune, and Charlie Johnson, representative of the Chicago Tribune Guild. As we speak, the first ever union contract negotiations are going on, and I have to turn it over to both of you to see if you can give us an update on how that's been going.
Well, if you want a perspective from in the room, you got to go to Charlie. I'm not in the directly in the conversation, so I get a brief on Charlie wants to speak to how they're going.
Yeah, I spent the last 2 days sequestered the conference room at a law firm bargaining Tribune's first union contract. Without getting into the nitty-gritty of what was said, I think the perspective of the union is that for a variety of reasons, many of them outside of the control of the Chicago Tribune, some of them within the control of the Tribune, pay, benefits, and working conditions of being a Tribune reporter, photographer, editor, producer, etc., have degraded to a point that they have to be seriously addressed and move forward. And that I can say as someone who's working in the newsroom every day, we're seeing a lot of people come to us and express, sometimes privately, other times publicly on social media, that they're concerned about the long-term health of the institution, and they're concerned about their ability to have a career at the Tribune that might last 20 or 30 or 40 years. There are a number of people who already work second jobs. They Uber, they drive kids to school in the morning, they deliver flowers. These are not, let's say, interns or first year people who are doing this to try and make ends meet while they're fresh out of school. These are people with notable bylines and prestigious fellowships. And what the union is essentially putting on the table, we put on the table on Thursday and Friday, is our vision of a new future at the Tribune, a new reality for what it is to work there, and a way to have a career at the paper that might stretch years or decades, like many of the people who we honor at our annual awards. Every person who's worked there for 30 years gets a great video tribute. And that is a reality that is frankly going to become, in our opinion, likely non-existent at a certain point. There's been a lot of people who've left the paper, middle career, early career, because they simply didn't see this as a sustainable place to work anymore, with mortgages, with children, et cetera. What we're seeking, what we're proposing, what we have proposed, what we'll continue to fight for is some version of a new deal. For many years, the Tribune paid above the union scale of the Chicago Sun-Times, treated its employees very well. I've heard anecdotes about 2 Tribune reporters whereas employees got married, they asked to have silver, for example, from the Tribune at the brand. I don't know whether that's true or not, but so check that out.
Get a fact check in the room.
Please do.
Let me go to Bruce. Let me give you a chance to respond.
It's what everybody's concerned about, equally concerned about. the
Can I just
future of the
interject more than just respond to that? Give us a sense of how what you're feeling about the Tribune right now and the crisis that it's
What I
facing.
feel is that the single greatest threat facing the Tribune and facing every legacy news organization is the duopoly of Facebook and Google. They control, where is it, 75% of digital advertising. And so every organization that has been trying to make the shift from print advertising to digital has run up against this blockade. You throw in Amazon, and they just got control of everything. So there are a lot of efforts on that regard. There's efforts in Congress to try and give news organizations some relief from antitrust so they can negotiate with the two shops. There's the effort in Europe that's farther along is requiring the platforms to pay for the content that they are using. So there are legal efforts, there are political efforts, all that saying we're providing this information. Google and Facebook are taking full advantage of it. They do need to pay something for it. They make things. They suggest that they're going to provide some funding, but we just really haven't seen it so far. On subscriptions, on the work that directly goes directly to what our great journalists do, and we're doing pretty well. Subscription revenue has kept pace or grown. We're at 125,000 digital-only subscribers. That's nearly five-fold growth in 4 years, 42% in just the last year. But that's just a piece of the puzzle. If you can't have that, if you don't have that subscription and advertising mix in traditional media, you're not going to do well.
And also, by the way, when we're talking about subscriptions, Pew Research did something, research in Chicago, I'm sure everybody's familiar with this. 16% of people report that they pay for local news. It means 84% are out there theoretically available to get, but who knows? This is something that was sent to us by Barb Iverson, who was one of our panelists on the last go around. What does this mean? I mean, Carol, you know, you do your news and give it to people for free on TV, right? But on the other hand, look all the way down the line here, everybody's trying to get subscriptions, and subscriptions are difficult to get. Anybody?
So, you're right. I mean, for NBC and for TTW, turn on broadcast or you know, look at it on your computer and you got it. I'm a subscriber and I'm a union member. I might also add. The worry about the survival of those of us in this room and on this panel and students of mine that are right over there, we want to say, yes, there's a place for you in news, and you will not be on food stamps when you're doing it or having to work a second or a third job, is the crucible in which we exist. I don't have a nice or easy answer, but right now, for every student that Don Mosley and I deal with at DePaul, for instance, many of them walk out the door, they've already got a job by the time they're graduating. This is a hunger for these young people and a hunger for well-trained journalists. But they're pretty much being hired at bare minimum standards, and it's a grievous problem.
Yeah, I just want to add, I think you know what Bruce said is right to a degree, that we can blame the duopoly. But I think we're still in the midst of a historic recalibration where for a very long time, certainly in the legacy space, in the print space, a lot of that was subsidized by Sunday advertising, preprint advertising, available on a mass scale. So you're distributing Home Depot, Walmart, Best Buy, Target ads. That was really good bread and butter. And now we're leaning more into what the public radio and public broadcasting news shops have depended on for a long time, which is individual support, individual subscribers. At the Chicago Reporter, we're both blessed and cursed that we depend on very large grants from a few important, very generous foundations. But if one of those leaves, we have a huge hole to fill. And so this last year, we've started asking people like you, Ken, and Linda, who have been so nice to support us. And so I think all of us are recalibrating and saying, okay, we can no longer depend on ads, for the majority of our revenue. How much will come from subscriptions? Well, clearly more needs to come from subscriptions. And I think that on some level, we're trying to figure out what people value, how much they value it for, and what they're willing to pay. I'm a Tribune, Sun-Times subscriber. I donate to TTW and WBEZ. For Public City Bureau, I donate to my own shop. So we're never going to get to a place where that 84% becomes a 50%, I think. But we've got to close that gap so it's not 16. And I think that that's where we're trying to figure out is how much of the subscriber base will grow. And ultimately, unfortunately, during my years at Tribune, we heard a lot about right sizing. Where we need to right size some of our shops to operate within a new context of needs, right? We can't operate how we used to.
And there is also a third component, which is like La Raza and other newspapers are free, they are distributed free home delivery boxes in the streets. And we clearly still rely on advertising. The print advertising, of course, is mostly there in the national market, but we started relying on the users and people and everything that we have to distribute leadership. But because for reasons during this decade, 2000 and 2010, there has been a model that, in our case, for example, the Spanish media, La Raza is a newspaper published in Spanish, and there was the case of Hoy and other newspapers in Spanish in the country, that we were, by our corporate, transferred into the free mode. You don't need to pay, you will have some content, and depending, of course, on the level of revenue, of support from your office, corporate office, or you have other forms of income, you can provide certain amount of content and certain amount of quality. Of course, you always want to produce the best, but then you are forced to start the downsizing. And that's a problem because it's very hard for us to convince the public that, well, you have been receiving this content for free for many years, and the transition into another model that we are now looking at, because I believe that we will believe that the structural and income models of our media are in a big transformation. We are reshaping and rethinking how we can keep going on. And in our case, I need to find some kind of hybrid model between the traditional commercial or relying on advertising. Our print will be free. It's very hard to think that we are going to have a paid circulation. I don't think so. But also we need to start opening our eyes and interactions with other entities like foundations and other corporations that are going to support media. Because in our case, the media in Chicago and in all the country that is serving very specific populations in different languages, the resources and the opportunities are smaller than for the English media, which is the
Just because I want to try to get these people in, Ms. Lavelle, you've been wanting to.
I do.
Before you say anything, let me just say,
Yes.
that you're a royalty in journalism in Chicago. You have some
I don't have sense to quit. Is that what it is?
No, you have published the Crusader for 52 years.
Yeah, I've been published that long, but I've been there 59. And 7 years I was married to the man that owned it. So it kind of tells some of the things. First of all, I want to thank you for having me to come on. I tried to encourage you because I didn't think that I had anything in common with most of these people who are on this panel. I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity. I think this may be the second time I've ever participated in a panel with the Southern Conference, but never with the Chicago Tribune. And I heard you say that it was all about money when you first started. And I said, well, I don't have any comment on that, except to say, welcome to my world. It is sometimes in the Tribune. But the Crusader is a newspaper that's different from the mainstream press. It's a niche, some people want to call it a niche publication, some want to talk about this because of this culturalness, and it's true. Our newspaper is not a Black Sun-Times or a Black Tribune. The Crusader is an advocacy publication. It was founded before the NAACP, the Black Press was, before the NAACP and so many other organizations in 1873. And makes us 193, 94, I can't count anymore, years old as a press. And it was because there was nothing being printed positive in the mainstream media. We had no way to communicate as African Americans, Negroes, whatever you want to call us. We could not speak to each other. We did not have any mechanism for our news to be available to our community. So the Crusader is totally different from everybody else. Because if it was about money, the Crusader would not be celebrating 80 years this year. I'm here to tell you that. And we will be celebrating in June 12th. There's a little shout out there. But I want you to know that how we have survived 80 years has been the fact that we've always tried to, at the Crusader, small paper, most of the time only 20 pages. But in that 20 pages, we provide something to our community, the Black community, that they're not getting in the daily newspapers. We don't try to do a lot of national news. It's community news. And it's been said recently that the community newspapers are doing better than the mainstream papers. They are, they are everything. They're national, they're international, they're everything in the mainstream. And we concentrate on our community. We get, most of our revenue is national advertising. And we have a national advertising representative. Let me just say this, and I know you're going to get to this later on, and I'm going to stop in a moment. But we keep our pages small so that we can pay the printer. We have been in union shops earlier years, in the 60s and the 70s. And it was because there were many newspapers, including the Defender, they had a strike because of the strike back in the 60s. And we were in a union shop, but they didn't really want to do our papers. So they brought in some blocks and all that would print our papers. Well, they didn't have the printing mechanism, but they could make it up and all of that. But I'm gonna tell you something. The unions are good. Black people love them because many of us would not have jobs. But it doesn't work for us in our newspapers because we can't afford to pay union wages often. And many of the people who work for us, some of them work free. Some of them get a small business. Others, we don't have those high salaries. So we look at that 40-60 kind of combination every week in our paper, and we try to make sure so that we can continue to provide a service to our community. So we're different. So I don't know why I'm up here. But I can tell you right now that is love and dedication and the need. Even today, most of it, we don't do much crime in the Crusader. We try to do things inspirational, educational, and the whole bit. And we try to give a spin on news that may be reported in the daily newspapers, how it affects our community. So I know I've been too long on it, but
I wanted to bring that point up. I want people to understand that I just need more money and more people. Because
You need more money.
I need more money, but I need more people. I need more people. I need the money to get more people. Because we are all, even after hours, people want to subscribe to the paper, especially since the defendant decided not to print it.
Which is another thing.
And let me just say this, as chairman of the National Newspaper Publishers Association 3 times, it pained me to see that happen. But the Crusader is here to stay. We are going to publish until we can't publish anymore.
There you go.
Let me take a step back. So in the first town hall, John Calloway, once the greats, said that there was a fundamental difference between online journalism and print journalism. And that the problem with online journalism was that it was fast. Do we, as a panel, agree with that dichotomy, or has that dichotomy ended in the last 10 years? Charlie Myers is shaking his head.
We disagree with that, and it has ended in the last 10 years. Charlie,
Hi, I don't want to
Charlie-
interrupt, but I see I have to interrupt because I've been waiting really patiently to ask the question, and you sat there and stood and told me.
We're gonna have a
I'm
Q&A.
gonna interrupt right now, actually, because I hear a lot of talking, a lot of meandering conversations, but you're not answering the question straight. My name is Shia Carpenter. I just recently, 2 weeks ago, resigned from my position at the Chicago Tribune as deputy editor for food and dining, as well as editor for Red Eye. I solely put out a publication, 40 to 44 pages weekly by myself without support. As Mr. Dole has said, we care so much about advertisers. We do not, I have not heard one mention of the community. The only person I heard mention the community was Ms. LaBelle, who's the only one who knows about community-based journalism, the only person who actually produces content for the community that we serve. There are a lot of white men on this panel, and you said that Ms. LaBelle is royalty, but for some reason she was the last person you came to just ask the question. I don't know why you didn't speak to her first. So, sorry, and I'm like shaking because I'm kneeling because you didn't let me ask my question when I wanted to, so now I have to take over. So this is what happens when we have to take over. I would advise, I'm not done, so you don't need to thank me. Ms. LaBelle, thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much for your work. Please do not waste your advice on them. I see y'all taking notes. You're not going to really listen. You're not going to implement any of these ideas. I was on the organizing committee for the Chicago Tribune Guild. The union members are over here. The only reason the Chicago Tribune is ever going to pay their employees what they're worth is if the Guild fights for it. The Guild is fighting for it. Tribune is talking shit, and they will not do anything. I resigned because I entered in short-term disability. I went on short-term disability. Let's talk about that. I'm not done. Do not touch me. Do not interrupt me. I am not done. Do not point at me. I am not done.
Let's finish
I'm
the
going to
audience.
continue talking.
Shall we allow her to continue?
Are you more interested in what I said, or are you more interested in what I It's not a question. I'm making a statement. Thank you. I know the difference. Okay? Do you know the difference? I'm taking my time. I reclaimed it. This is not my time. It's really not. I'm pretty sure this is a free event you didn't pay for, so it's, you can leave.
So can you.
I'm going to ask for this to be ended now.
I'm not gonna end it, so you can ask all you want, but it's not ending. So when I went on short-term disability because my job exploited me, and I wasn't salaried, I made $57,000. I have 2 degrees. I have my journalism degree, my bachelor's, I have my master's in journalism. I worked as an intern at 20 whatever, just so I could get in the Tribune. There are not many Black people in the Tribune. Once you get your foot in the door, you feel like you have to stay there in order to make a way for the other Black people who could possibly come after you. You feel like you have to fight for the other journalists of color who are suffering, who are talking about their food stamps and how they can't pay their bills. I applied for food stamps this week. I applied for unemployment this week.
I applied for all of these benefits I never thought I'd have to apply for because I went to school. I got the degrees. I got the education. I did what you were supposed to do. But the newspaper exploited me as they continue to exploit all of us. And they will continue to do that. I thought the function of the free press was to uphold. I thought democracy couldn't exist without a free press. Is this a democracy? Is our press free?
Yes.
Just ask yourself those questions. Now I'm done.
Thank you.
I want to add just a bit of context to what Sade just mentioned. I think a pleasant byproduct of the downfall of print journalism and where we are right now in terms of losing these revenue streams is that marginalized upstarts are now being paid attention to. And I think what has happened so long in journalism, when I started off, I started at WVO Man AM, and I didn't often feel like voices of color or upstart publications were getting a seat at the table until we began to see mainstream publications struggle financially or struggle in terms of maintaining operations. And so what happened is now you have the tribe.com, now you have Lockups, you have all of these upstarts that previously, maybe 10, 15 years ago, established publications wouldn't have looked at them as viable sources for actual information. I mean, there is an elitism that exists within our industry. It's just the truth. And so I think that now that we're seeing that, that these mainstream publications are beginning to struggle, a lot of these upstarts are getting the attention. You wouldn't have seen a partnership between a website like thetribe.com with more established brands if those established brands were not struggling. And so I think that what Sade kind of touches on gives us, it's kind of a tangential point. We're starting to see a lot of these marginalized publications, a lot of journalists of color, a lot of people who didn't have a seat at the table get seats at the table because mainstream outlets are beginning to understand that it is the key to survival. We have to report a story, diverse stories, because that's the 84%.
Don't you, and don't you,
To talk about that.
Wow. So I come from queer media, which definitely wasn't respected when I started in 1984. I couldn't work at the Tribune because I was openly gay, and my stepfather worked there and told me, no way, you can make it here, because all his friends who were gay were closeted. So as Dorothy said, we're used to doing things on a dime and being in alt media. So welcome to our world. I was very fortunate a year and a half ago to take over as a reader, and when I did so, I wanted to implement a lot of things that I didn't get to when I was on a smaller platform. And one of the things is we have launched from the Reader something called the Chicago Independent Media Alliance. And I'm going to just briefly talk about it, and if there are folks in the room that want more, I have business cards up here, and we have limited time. But Google and Facebook are the enemy in a big sense, right? But if we don't work together, they will stay the enemy. If we work together, we can fight them as slave giants in our communities. I believe that. I believe they will always be strong, but we can get stronger within our ecosystem of Chicago. We're very fortunate that there's a tremendous amount of resources available here, and we have a geographic landscape that is accessible, and we can do things together. So Chicago Independent Media Alliance, probably about 3 or 4 main mission points. One is to collaborate on the sense of best practices and bring some of the smaller media operators into the fold in terms of giving them the tools they need to set ad rates and be in ad buys of larger companies. So we had our very first meeting 2 weeks ago, hosted by Chicago Community Trust at Chucky and Black Club's location downtown. More than 70 folks were there, more than 50 media outlets were represented. We believe that we can go to corporations and have clout together. We believe that we can pressure the government to be more equitable in its placement of advertising. We're modeling this on a program in New York, where Cooney, New York, pressured Bill de Blasio to issue an executive order, say that 50% of spending from government agencies has to go to community network media. It's shifting millions of dollars in great ways. It's just starting, but we're hoping to model after that. And we also think that we can work on joint editorial projects together that are possibly grant funded, whether you're for-profit or nonprofit.
We got a first grant from the McCormick Foundation of $50,000. 26 outlets are splitting that evenly to do original reporting on the US Census. So if we come together, I think we have clout, and that includes independent outlets like the Sun-Times, all the way down to Airgo Podcast and all sorts of ones in between. 1,000 people listening to Airgo Podcast, to me, has as great a value sometimes as 100,000 people reading a daily newspaper. It just depends on who wants to reach that audience. So we need to have a more equitable placement of advertising, government resources, as well as editorial collaborations to help make sure that we don't continue to see the failure of community media, who I believe provide an authentic community voice, that if we lose that, it's almost as great, if not greater, than losing some of the more mainstream outlets out there.
I'll take that great personal privilege and point out that the Daily Line is partnering with Chalkbeat and Raza and the Reporter to do our Lines on Lightfoot program, as well as the Tribe. And I think that's really what you're talking about, right? That we're stronger together as opposed to working at cross purposes sometimes. And we partner quite often with Block Club, and it's what I like to call co-opetition, right? We cooperate when we can, and we compete when we want to. But I think sort of a fundamental question that a lot of us have been talking about lately is, can those small independent media organizations, if the worst case scenario for the Tribune happens, or the Sun-Times that are legacy media, can we fill whatever gap is left? Or is that gap unfillable? And I don't know the answer to that question.
I mean, I think we don't want anybody to leave.
Right.
We don't want to lose anybody, and I think that, every day I see Craig Pratt's 6 violence for City Hall is, we're happy with the Tribune still there. But we see your 6 violence from City Hall, because we also subscribe to Daily Line. I think
You see France 24. France 24.
I think one of the things that may end up happening is, I see it as unbundling. It's sort of like the newspaper was cable, and we're all sort of individual subscription services, and like some of us you pay for it, some of us you don't pay for it, and some of us get to survive because of the folks who are paying for us. And so we may not end up having a beer critic in 2021 who's working at the Tribune, right? But you see it happening with the Athletic moving into sports. You guys are clearly in City Hall. The Raza's, holding down the Spanish language areas. And so I think that you'll end up having Chalkbeat with WBZ's education team. You just, as a news consumer, you will start to gravitate toward those things. When you're a subscriber to Block Club and you see a Daily Line story, it creates those affinities where you can see, I'm really into education, or I'm really into politics, or I'm really into this particular community's neighborhood. And so you'll have something that we didn't have, which is a sort of granular richness, but it won't be cable for $180 a month.
So I want to ask Chris Fusco at the Sun-Times had no paywall for many, many years, now has a paywall. How do you convince people to pay for something that they had been getting for free?
Well, first of all,
Besides pointing to Francis Taylor.
start by going to suntimes.com/subscribe. It's $30 a year, as my CEO Makia Wright likes to say.
$30 a year.
$30 a year.
$30 a
Subscribe.
Mine is $35. Okay, let me just say this, please. It has been, and I want to acknowledge that young lady. You're absolutely right, lady. Yeah, they're gonna take notes, and they're gonna do what I'm doing, and they have the money to do it. But, because sometimes in the Tribune, they're getting a little blacker, they still do their slavs in it. But this is the growth market, our black community is the growth market. I shouldn't be telling you that, because you've already realized it. And you're doing a lot more than what you used to do. But you got big money behind you to make it happen. And I just want to bring up DNA Info. That was another experiment capitalizing on our communities. And it didn't work. They had big money. They had big money. They were in every community, every black community in the city. They were in there, and they couldn't continue to do it. And I got into a big fight with somebody, he may be on this panel, a black reporter that gave a story. He was unscrupulous. He gave us both the same story. I thought the guy was a freelancer. And he said, oh no, he works, he's on our staff. And wanted me to take down all the stories that the guy had written and all of that. And I refused to do it. I would not do it. I'm not taking anything down. I paid for what I paid for. If you don't like it, take your own thing. So anyway, I just had to bring that up. And young lady, we can't pay you what they were paying you at the Tribune, but I can tell you one thing, we have a place for you to be safe. Come and see.
Answer your question, everyone, trying to wrap a lot of things in. Why should folks subscribe to Sun-Times? I think we're trying to build a lot of bridges back. I think you talked about our near-death experience here in 2017. We don't know how that would have worked out, but we were able to get, we did a lot of experimentation. We've been able to get more folks in the door. We'll still nowhere. We're probably closer to the ranks of Crusader in terms of staff than we are at Bruce's operation. But we're out there trying to build those bridges back, and we know we have a long way to go on diversity. We've got a tremendously long way to go. But in terms of our coverage paradigm, when we were near that near-death experience, the only news about communities of color that was really getting in our paper outside of what Mary Mitchell was doing was crime news. And we saw that. One of the first things I did after becoming managing editor was approach Maud. He's going to be on the panel later on. We started Chicago Chronicles. That built a bridge back. We went out and we got Report for America funding, hired Manny Ramos and Carlos Ballesteros, and that's building a bridge back. So while our newsroom is not reflective of the region in terms of diversity, we're hoping that when we walk into those news meetings every day, it's top of mind, and our daily news report, regardless of who the color of the person producing that story, does reflect the diversity of the region. Do we make mistakes? Do we screw up? Absolutely. There is not a person in this room that is in this industry that has not made mistakes. But overall, I think the mentality that we have is we're trying to get it right. And I think we're doing it with our story selection, and hopefully that moves forward in terms of our hiring practices going down the road. That's reason number one. Reason number two is it's cheap. Reason number three is we provide vital community service. Reason number four is we're trying to build a bridge back regionally again, and I think we're trying to do it through sports. We know that if we can get readers in the region to come back to us and subscribe digitally, we'll get the funds that we need. And guess, Dorothy, I need money too. All of us in this industry spent a lot of years, spending money we didn't have. And the beauty of where we're at, I feel, as a news organization now, and it could all end tomorrow, okay? And let's take
The truth for all of us, let's be real.
That's right, we're not guaranteed to have a breath on this planet, let alone in this business. But
You know something about that? You worked at DNA Info.
Speak of the devil.
But I guess going
Was that you, Kristen? I had it last week.
Yeah, I wasn't
what we're trying to do is get folks back in the door and build a regional publication again that people see as necessary for their daily lives. And we'll see. I'm pleased with where we're headed, but I know we've got a long way to go.
What's happening right now in the industry kind of reminds me of what happened in the music industry with Napster and with free music. So we know that people value this content. News stories are going viral all the time. The problem is, I don't know if there's a subscription model that makes sense for my generation and younger that they can buy into. So what happened with to use the music industry example, then you had Apple Music, and you got Spotify, you got Tidal, you got all these streaming services where you pay a subscription and you get all the music you want. I don't know if the folks from the business end of this business it's viable or not, but if I pay $30
a year for my Sun-Times subscription, I pay X for my Tribune subscription, then for my New York Times, and for all of that. Now I'm just wondering, oh my God.
She's got her eye on you.
Oh, no problem, Mr. Bill. But you know, all these subscriptions, and then what does a model look like? Is this viable and practical? Where you pay $20 a year for everything. And I think that is the thing that we're missing. Everyone is working in our silos, and everyone wants the content, they want the information, but it's not easy to figure out how to get it from all these public areas.
So I'll credit Melissa Sanchez of Republic of Illinois, who I was talking with before the thing. She said that Chicago sort of had organically become the largest quasi-news cooperative in the country organically, right? We're all working together, we're all talking together, we're not fighting if we don't have to fight. But the business sides, the Tribune and the Sun-Times and the Daily Line and everything, they're not talking to each other. And the Crusaders, I see you, I see you. So how do we, but you know, so we don't have any answers to the business side of things, and that's a problem.
Right, I think that's what we're trying to do with SEMA. And it does include any independent, so it would include the Sun-Times, and sometimes when Chris was at our meeting a couple weeks ago. Sorry to say, it wouldn't include the Tribune, we felt it. But otherwise, other than that, it includes a lot of
Okay,
folks.
look, it's the elephant in the room.
So I do think you're right. I mean, that's what we need. Our dream, and I don't know if Karen Hopkins is here yet, but our co-editor-in-chief's dream is a huge independent media center on the south side where all the back ends of all our independent organizations are shared. The advertising, the business, the HR, the union negotiations, all of that. And then the front end, the editorial is free to do what they need to do. And so we put that out in the universe because there are rich people who like to make buildings, and that could be a possibility. But they're short of that. There are definitely things happening now, and it may be small scale to start, but if we can show success, I believe it will grow at scale.
So I want to bring Cassidy from Chalky in. They have a nonprofit model, which is sort of the other side of things that we haven't talked a little bit about. How does that work being the founding editor of the Chicago Bureau?
Sure, so I spent 18 years in for-profit journalism, and so 2 years ago came over to the nonprofit side. And so Chalky is a national news nonprofit headquartered in New York. And so we have bureaus. We have a bureau model, and I opened the Chicago Bureau. In the next, by 2025, we're looking to actually double in size, so add more than 7 other cities, which is really exciting. So, for the nonprofit side, I would say, some of the words that we use on the for-profit side, so subscriptions, they're similar words. On the nonprofit side, you just use a different word, right? Membership. They're not advertisers, they're sponsors. And so there's some of the same tensions and I think things and problems that exist. There's also a lot of opportunities. And one thing that really strikes me is that in the for-profit world, I never knew what the financials were, like the real financials, I worked for Chicago Magazine, which was owned by the Tribune most of the time, and then I worked at Crane Chicago Business, which is privately held. And I never knew the financials. I never knew what the money was. There was no one talking for it. And at Chalky, I know the financials. I know, I'm a very open line to the CEO. I'm part of the conversations about the growth plan and where we should go. And I think that it's just very different to have that sort of sense that the editorial team has a voice in the business operations. I think that feels very different to me. I also think that thinking about, we don't use competition, we don't think about competition in the same way as we're part of a partnership with you, and where
we partnered on a story just this week because we had a reporter in Springfield and they needed to ask the mayor a question about something going on in Springfield.
Right, it went down in about 9 minutes, right?
Exactly. All over text.
Right.
Very, very professional.
Yes, very professional. But I think that thinking about some of these things really differently and really challenging our thinking. I think right now at Chalky, we're doing, for example, a source audit. So we're not just talking about diversity in our newsroom in terms of our reporters, but who are the people we're talking to? Who are the people we're featuring? When we're reaching out to principals, when we're reaching out to teachers, are we just reaching out to white teachers? Or are we just reaching out to white principals? And that doesn't represent the community nor this whole system. And so really thinking about those things and being very intentional about it is something that we're trying to do. And the last thing I'll just say is that in terms of building a nonprofit media center, we've also joined forces with Blog Club and some of the data organizations in town to start an open government collaborative. And so we have basically a co-working space, but that is everybody in the space is connected to open government in some sort of way. Again, sharing a newsroom with another news organization, maybe not something that people would have thought to do 10 or 20 years ago. We have to because of financial realities. I can't afford rent. My shop just in and of itself. well, I can in a terrible space, but, so we have a really nice new space, and so I think just thinking about where we can lean on each other.
Heather, 11 years ago when Ken had conceived of this, I think Rob Feeder and I may be the last remainders of that panel 11 years ago, and we were the old legacy guys at that time. And there were a lot of new digital, really exciting projects that were sitting at this table too, talking about how news needed to continue to be reinvented. The tricky thing, and I think that that you and I especially agree on this, foundations are wonderful things. They lose interest after about 5 years and go to something new. Competition and collaboration is phenomenal, and we do an awful lot of it in this day and age. But competition also brings something too. And a capitalist model, I'm sorry, is a forger, but also has some value in that competition and having loyal subscribers or loyal readers or loyal viewers so that you're not constantly reinventing yourself every 5 years. What ended up happening 11 years ago to now is a lot of those startups just couldn't monetize, couldn't survive, couldn't maintain. They couldn't hire lawyers when they were sued. And so in a sustainable economy, I think we all are interested in doing that in behalf of news and still struggling to figure out what that is today.
This is as much, by the way, I just want to take issue with the fundamental statement that we heard at the beginning, that this is about money. Yeah, money's a nice thing to have, but I think the most important issue that we all face is audience. If you have a big audience, then you have money. And as Tracy said in another context, this is as much as anything about getting the advertising industry to recognize the value of small but real and engaged audiences.
I want to go
I
to,
want to add something to this. I want to add something because it's very vital. If you can recall, when they had set-asides and women, black people would get a set-aside because of the inequities and all of that, we found that a lot of white women got very rich because they came under that same rule that they would be considered a minority, so to speak. And I can see the same thing happening here. The census that we are all gearing up to, they did a tremendous ad buy, tremendous. I happened to see a list. There were all kinds of radio stations that said that they were black. Now they are black, they may be black oriented, some of them, but they're not black owned. And they are benefiting from that. I didn't see WVON, I'm sure that Melody took care of her own thing. And then what's missing on this panel now is that we do have a couple online people sitting in the audience out there, I'd just like to recognize, but are doing a great job with their online presence. Now, the Crusader is in play, online, and we have social media. We need to beef it up as much as we can. Again, I said it was people, but we have Colleen Hartman from Indigo, who's sitting out there. And we have Carl Rice from TBT News. Now, I don't see the citizen here. The citizen is still in front, and that's why I said it was at least 2 black prints. So now Ms. Hermines.
Dorothy, I want to piggyback on something you said, in that we have kind of had this experience before. At one time, there used to be something called affirmative action, and it started for minorities from which black folks used to be. And now we are all people of color. There's all of you here are in the media. I think the New York Times must have invented the people of color. Washington Post, when Barack was president, did the post racial. This is breaking news. There ain't no post racial. Damn sure we ain't. You are either African American, you are Mexican or Puerto Rican or Cuban, but we need to stop this people of color thing. Because in the whole identity, like Georgia just told you about the census, they got a people of color box for advertising. They don't have a people of color box for the count. And one thing that you all can do is you look at the panel that is damn near white, lily white. The people of color is probably your growth area. And if you would include us in a big way, you would probably see some rise in your products. I have been with the Tribune, I'm indebted forever to the Tribune and with the Sun-Times. I had a little different kind of business model. But we are not, there's still racism in this people. There's still need for the Crusader. The story, if you read the Crusader and you read the Tribune and you read the Sun-Times, you see a tale of two cities. It is illustrated. You read me, you read Carl, we're talking about different things. And of late, we looked at Blagojevich coming out of jail. Black folks got a whole different reaction. It's like he's two people, like he's a Jekyll and Hyde as to how we perceive. These perceptions and these opinions that we have, they're very valuable, and we need to all embrace them. The way Black folks look at Biden in North Carolina is very different the way somebody else, the way they look at Paul Bernie, Trump. I mean, we're just all over. My God, we all over the place. But the people of color thing, that's the thing I want to say about, because that is becoming, it's a misnomer. It's wrong. And for some of us, a lot of Black folks take insult to it. And I just want to point that out to the larger Chicago media community. Thank you.
I was just gonna say, we're coming up on time, and I wanted to give Robert Peter a chance to inject himself into this maelstrom.
Well, I want to 11 years ago, when we convened here, the consensus was that the financial model, the former financial model of the journalism business was broken, and it's still broken. What we acknowledged also was that we had made a big mistake by giving away content for free online too long, and we created the expectation among consumers that news was free and that they shouldn't have to pay for it. And we've been trying to fight our way back ever since. What we have now is an opportunity for people to create their own media diet based upon all of the digital entities that exist in specialized ways, so that you can now create your own daily diet of publications and websites and newsletters. And if you are diligent at it and are willing to devote the resources to it, you can remain very well informed. Newspapers can no longer be all things to all people. They can't serve all of your news dietary needs every day as they used to. And that's the environment we find ourselves in. The other mistake that I think we're making now, and I think we're going to continue to pay the price for it, is we're failing to, I think, adequately respond to those who would demean and diminish what we do, what journalism is, what it's supposed to be. The consequences of that are grave moving forward. And when it comes directly from the White House, and when it comes from Rush Limbaugh, who has made a career out of disparaging what he calls the drive-by media, which is actually legitimate news media, legitimate professional journalism. And when that message is reinforced every night to 3 million viewers of Fox News, we have a problem.
And I see it reflected in the comments to my blog from people who reflexively see everything through this distorted lens of what we do and what journalism is. And it pains me that no one has been able to mount an effective response in the way that I can still recall Walter Cronkite speaking truth to Spiro Agnew in 1969 when he rallied our whole profession to say, no, this isn't right. And it's much more difficult to do so today. And I think that is going to have as grave a consequence as the financial problems are that we've been discussing up to now. I would hope that that would be something that we could address as well. Let me just get a brief plug in for my employer, the Daily Herald, which has embarked on a series of public seminars where they go to schools and libraries and community groups to explain how journalism works, to explain how we do our jobs. And when a big story happens, a big story breaks for the Daily Herald, a day or two later, the editor in charge or the reporter in charge will write a TikTok story explaining to readers how the story came to the newsroom, how they responded, how they were mobilized, how the story appeared in print, what the choices that were made. Things like that could go a long way, I think, in helping win back the understanding and the loyalty of readers that we depend on. And I think in a broad sense, it all gets down to media literacy, and that I think is one of the great failings of our profession in the last 20 years.
Rob makes some really good points. Yeah, our credibility has been undermined by concerted efforts, but we also have to safeguard it by being objective. And that includes being objective in our use of social media and our pages everywhere we go. We're not undermining ourselves. The second is to go back to something that Carol said about the foundations. It is a frustration to me because I've talked to just about every foundation.